Everybody comes to YouTube looking for that magic pill to become a better padel player. You've tried buying a new padel racket and you've tried learning the kick smash, but let's be honest, you still suck. I'm sorry to tell you that that magic pill doesn't exist. However, today I'm gonna give you my best 10 padel tips to win more matches. Vamos! Tip number 1, whenever you are at the back of the court, stop slicing. The interesting part about the slice is that when the ball bounces, it gets really low. But when I'm at the back of the court, there's always gonna be someone at the net. So the reality is that that ball is never going to bounce. If I start slicing from here, the reality is that I'm just making my life harder, and at some point I'm gonna leave the ball and he's gonna finish the point. So it is much easier to learn how to play flat from the back of the court. If I play flat, it is much shorter preparation, it is easier to keep the ball tight to the net, and I can play fast if I want to. So this takes us to tip number 2, which is whenever I'm at the net, I want to do completely the opposite. I want to keep the ball really low, okay, below waistline. In that way, he's going to struggle a lot when defending. And what's the best way to do this? Playing with a slice. If I'm able to play with a slice and keep the ball low, he's going to struggle defending from there. And at some point, I'm going to be able to finish the point. So remember, at the back, we don't use a slice. At the net, we can use a slice. Tip number 3, spend more time at the net. In padel, you need to understand that whenever you are at the back, most likely you're gonna lose the point. So whenever you are at the net, try to keep it for as long as possible. It doesn't matter if he plays 1,000 lobs in a row, I'm just gonna hit the bandeja and recover the net. I'm gonna hit the bandeja and recover the net. Okay? Try to force yourself to stay at the net, because at some point, you're gonna be able to finish the point. But remember, force yourself to spend more time at the net. And this takes me to tip number 4, which is whenever I'm at the back, remember that I don't wanna be spending a lot of time here. So I wanna play the lob and get to the net. Tip number 4 is play more lobs. Every time I have the chance to play a lob, I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna try to push the net as soon as the lob is good, like that one. And now I'm at the net and I apply tip number 3, which is try to keep the net for as long as possible. And a special tip whenever you're playing the lob, and trust me, you cannot imagine the difference that it's gonna make in the final result, is play the lob on the weaker player. And we have the perfect example, because in this case we will be playing the lob to Karim. Tip number 5, winners are overrated. Focus on making less mistakes. And a funny story that I can tell you on this one is that I usually play a little game with my students. I tell them that every time they score a winner, they're gonna get a +1. And every time they get an unforced error, they're gonna get a -1. You know what's the average score at the end of the game? -3. So this is telling you that if you are able to keep your score to 0, you are already winning. Remember, focus on making no mistakes rather than playing winners all the time. And this is really similar to tip number 6, which is no winners from the back of the court. It is extremely hard to play a winner from the back, and it is really risky. So my recommendation, whenever you have an easy ball, rather than trying to walk the ball and look for that winner, just play the lob and go to a net. I promise you're gonna win many more points if you do this simple strategy. Tip number 7, variation. It is extremely important in padel to be able to play different type of shots from the same position. For example, if I'm here, my opponent plays a lob, and I'm gonna play an overhead, with the same preparation, I need to be able to play to the center, to the corner, or to the fence. In this way, I won't become predictable and my opponent doesn't know what to expect. And this is why technique is so important, because technique is going to allow you to be able to play those different shots with the same preparation. Tip number 8, and this is a mental tip, 1 point at a time. It doesn't matter what you did in the previous point, it didn't matter if it was a break point, if it was a set point, that point is gone. The only thing that you can do is to focus on the next one to make sure that you give your 100% on that point. And whenever that point is finished, we focus on the next one. 1 point at a time. Tip number 9, and this one also has to do with the mental side of your game. You have to remind yourself to constantly have a really active footwork, especially if you are going through a really bad moment of a match. When this happens, you're gonna see that many players, they start to have really bad body posture. And this is extremely bad because you are sending signals to your brain that you are not performing well. If you are able to keep yourself really active with your footwork, you're gonna send positive signals to your brain and it's gonna be much easier to get focused. So remember, everything starts with your legs. By the way, Padel drivers, I just wanted to let you know that you can still subscribe to the Padel Drive newsletter. I'm gonna leave the link in the description down below. And the idea of this is that we can connect with our most loyal Padel drivers in a different way to the one that we normally do on video. In here, we're gonna be talking about Padel racket reviews, we're gonna be talking as well about the professional Padel world and some other topics that I think they're gonna be of your interest. Make sure that you give it a try and let me know what you think. Thank you, and now you can keep watching the video. Tip number 10, and this is a tactical one. Always cover the easy shot for your opponent. Imagine the ball is here and that this player is about to hit. He has 3 different directions. He has a space number 1, a space number 2, and a space number 3. For him, it's really easy to play to number 1 and to number 2. But it is much harder to play to space number 3. So you and your partner need to make sure that you cover the easy directions for that player. You're gonna step a little bit closer to this side and your partner is gonna stick in position number 2. If he's able to play to space 3 and he wins the point, we just say congratulations. But the reality is that this is just going to happen 1 out of 10 times. So remember, cover the easy shot for your opponent. If you want to know more about this topic, make sure that you check our video, Padel Tactics, exclusively about this topic. And the final and most important tip is to like this video if you have enjoyed this content, and remember to share it with your Padel partner so that you can win more Padel games. Thank you for watching and we will see you in the next one. ¡Vamos!